Okay, well, few ran out to the restroom, but hey, they'll come back in at their leisure, I guess. All right, how we doing? Welcome to the closing. Been a good convention? Woo! Kudos to Lukanda and the team for a great convention. Thank you very much. Wonderful to be a part of it. Thanks for putting up with me again. How many of you have recovered, slept well from your ice cream buzz yesterday? Now I can now understand why it's only 3 hours in the exhibit hall. Any longer than that, I think you would need to do a Rocky Road detox program. That's a lot of good ice cream. That's too bad we can't spread that over a couple months. That would be that would be very nice. All right, I want to make sure that you are mentally prepared for this final session together. So can we do a little mental brain teaser? Will you play along? Yeah? And there's a good chance you'll come up with the right answer if you do. All right, in your mind, I want you to pick a number between 2 and 9. You got it? You're doing well. Multiply that number by 9. Some of you may want to change your original number. If you choose 2, the whole thing becomes an addition problem. All right, if you're playing along, you should have a 2-digit number. Yes? Add those 2 digits together. So if you came up with 24, you would add 2 and 4, you would now have 6. You should have a 1-digit number. Subtract 5 from that number. Correspond that new number to a letter in the alphabet. 1 would be A, 2 would be B, 3 would be C, and so on. Got it? First country that comes to your mind that begins with that letter. All right. Go to the last letter of that country. Come up with an animal that begins with that last letter. We're almost done. Stick with me. Go to the last letter of that animal and come up with a color. And I'm here to tell you that there are no orange kangaroos in Denmark. Now usually right about now, there's 3 groups of people. First group of people, those who are saying, "What? Get out of here!" How do we come up with that? How many come up with orange kangaroos in Denmark? Be proud. All right, pretty smart group. I think over half. All right. If not, you're part of the second or the third group. Second group of people, those of you who could not come up with a country that begins with the letter D, or you came up with Dominican Republic or Deutschland, which would have been the right answer, just not the right answer we were looking for. And the third group of people, the mathematically challenged. You know who you are. Math was meant for other people. Now, other than just having a little bit of fun, making sure you were mentally alert for our time together, I did this for a reason. You see, I knew where we were headed. Orange kangaroos in Denmark. And I knew that by making the right choices together, where were we going to end up? Orange kangaroos in Denmark. So as you leave today and you think about where is it you're headed, how can you take what you learned and really make for a better career and a better life? As Big Mike mentioned yesterday, how can we be part of the change to better the industry, our organizations, and our lives? And then, will you make the right choices to make sure that it really happens? Because really life is just a series of choices, isn't it? I mean, we are where we are today based on the choices that we've made up to this point in our lives, and we will be where we are tomorrow based on the choices that we make today. If you want to change the future, we need to change our choices. Not always easy, but can certainly be done. All right. As we were challenged yesterday, how can we be part of that change? In order to make sure that we drive forward with whatever our initiatives are or industry initiatives, we need to become constant learners. See, if you haven't made a commitment to change and to learning, you've pretty much made a commitment to retire. Now, God, it's been almost 30 years when I had one of my most profound learning experiences. I did one of those 5-day intensive trainings, 12 hours a day. And the biggest aha came on the final day. The final day was designated stretch day. And the purpose of stretch day was to stretch your capabilities in your comfort zone and do something you wouldn't normally do. The assignment was to go out into the community of Chicago where the program was held and start a meaningful conversation with somebody you wouldn't normally talk to. And the way that you would know that that was the person you were supposed to talk to is when your heart was racing with fear. That's how you knew that that was the person you were supposed to talk to. And everybody in class was given a stretch buddy, so we went to a mall in Chicago. I walked into the mall, into the food court, looking for my unsuspecting volunteer. First two people I see having lunch are two ladies. Now, I have been single my entire life. I have been turned down more than a king-size bed at the Ritz. I'm a little bit more rejection, no big deal. Had to look on. Next table, two police officers having lunch. Police are approachable, right? I mean, again, no big deal. Next table, table for six. 6 people at the table. Now these folks are in their 70s or 80s, somewhere in that range. They're speaking a foreign language, and I don't recognize what the foreign language is. Right in the middle of lunch, speaking a foreign language. No place to sit. I'm thinking to myself, I can't go over there. And I start to turn around, and all of a sudden, sure enough, and you know how you know that something would be good for you? Like maybe it's taking a look at this Keep America Healthy campaign, healthcare reform, and changing some of your product mix. Maybe it's getting up to speed with AI. And you go through all the reasons in your mind why now may not be the time to do it. What do we need to do in those situations? We just need to do it, right? Well, it was part of my assignment, so I didn't have much of a choice. So I went over to the table, made eye contact with the lady at the head of the table, and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you mind if I sit down and chat for just a little while?" And she looked up at me, and in English, she said, "What do you want from us?" I really don't want anything. I would just love to sit and chat. Story to be continued later. So when was the last time your heart raced with fear? Maybe it was during COVID times. Maybe it's when Mike was talking yesterday. Maybe it's getting up to speed with AI. But the good news is comfort never produced greatness. If we challenge ourselves and realize comfort never produced greatness, the true measure of success today is your ability to transition, because we are in one permanent state of impermanence. There's 3 guarantees about change. Number 1, it's not going away. It's only coming quicker. Number 2, no matter how planned for change, it will never be trouble-free. And number 3, we are accountable for making it work. Eric Hoffer said, learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will be beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. The world as we knew it no longer exists. Peter Senge said, a company's only competitive advantage is its speed of learning. And the quicker you adapt and adopt, the greater advantage you will have. So it's being a learner. It's being willing to take the next step to be part of the change. And then make sure you have the right team that you're moving along with. I interviewed Scott Bemis, former president and publisher of the Denver Business Journal in Colorado. Before they would hire anybody at the Denver Business Journal, Scott would have a conversation with them. And the conversation would go something like this on that final interview. He would say, if you come to work here at the Denver Business Journal, can we make an agreement that this will be the best job you've ever had? I mean, how do they even know, right? I mean, that's kind of a lofty goal. But what he wanted to do was find out people's intention. If they could see it and they could vision that, then he knew that they could possibly be part of that organization. If not, then no. And then whoever he hired for that open spot, on the very first day, he would have a conversation where he reminded them of that conversation. And he would tell them why over all the other candidates they were hired. And then he would say, all right, we're gonna create success together. I'm going to be accessible to you. I am going to give you the resources you need. I have an open door policy. We're going to check back every few weeks to make sure that we are on track with creating that perfect job for you. All right? Setting those intentions. Making sure that we hire right, that those people are ready to keep the focus on where it is that we need to go. Kind of reminds me a little of the Pygmalion effect. Pygmalion effect was back in the 60s, Robert Rosenthal, a Harvard psychologist. They did this little experiment where they told an elementary school principals that they had intellectual bloomers, the smartest kids in their class, when actually these kids were basically chosen at random. And he found, sure enough, that these kids ended up performing much better because they had the encouragement, the expectation was so much higher for these kids. We get what we expect out of people. If we communicate belief that we expect that excellence and that our employees, our team are up for that challenge, sure enough, we get better performance. Richard Branson, who's created great success over his Virgin brands, he says that the key to success is first, they take care of their employees. Second, they take care of their customers. And third, they take care of their stakeholders. And if they do it in that order, everybody is taken care of. He's known for giving out his cell phone number to his employees. He knows most likely they're not going to call, but it just gives them the psychological safety that they're working for a good organization. And then he's known also to send out these chit-chat letters of encouragement to his employees so that his employees feel seen and heard. Because that's why good people leave organizations, because they don't feel seen and they don't feel heard. Tony Fernandez, he's the CEO of AirAsia, kind of like America's Southwest Airlines. He said his number one mission, his number one job at AirAsia is to unleash diamonds, is to really bring the very best out of every single employee. There's been baggage handlers that have become pilots, and he will support that and get the training needed. Also, flight attendants have also known to become pilots if that's their dream. He wants to help accomplish those dreams. So bringing out the very best in your people, and then surprising and delighting your customers along the way. Robert Patcham, real estate salesman back in the 70s. He had the uncanny ability of selling 3 to 4 times as much real estate as anybody else in the company, year in and year out. Robert Patcham was a blind man. He was interviewed one Saturday morning, and the interviewer asked him, he says, "How do you do so well in light of your handicap?" And Robert Patcham said, "Excuse me, in light of my handicap, I don't know what you mean." He says, "Well, you're a blind man. Do you not consider that a handicap?" And Robert Patcham says, "Not only is it not a handicap, it's my greatest advantage, for it allows me to see what I sell through my customer's eyes." Just say customer expectations have changed a little over the years. Are we really giving customers what they want today? Are we communicating with them the way they want to be communicated? Generation Y and Z are much different than the generations before. How can we continue to make life better? Well, a good place to start is to listen actively. Listen to understand. There's a big difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is a physical. Listening is a mental act. When we listen, our airwaves are sent to the brain, our sound waves from the ears are sent to the brain for interpretation. If we're really listening, we're understanding. Was in Singapore not all that long ago, and I wanted to find a restaurant in this mall that was central to where clients could come and meet, and wanted to make sure that we had good internet so that I could go through some things on the computer. So I went to one of the restaurants, and I asked the host at the front there. I said, "Hey, does your restaurant have Wi-Fi?" And the host says, "Sorry, we don't have Wi-Fi here." I said, "Darn," because this really would have been the perfect restaurant. So I thought, maybe I could pick up a signal from another restaurant or another store close by, and maybe it's an open network or whatever. So I logged on. Sure enough, the mall has Wi-Fi. Anywhere you go in the mall, you got Wi-Fi. So I went back to the host and I said, "Hey, just so you know, if anyone asks you this question, you really do have Wi-Fi." He goes, "No, we don't." I said, "Well, the mall has Wi-Fi." He said, "Well, you didn't ask me if the mall had Wi-Fi. You asked me if we had Wi-Fi." Okay? So he was hearing my question, but he wasn't really listening to understand. And the longer we've been in business, the longer we've been doing anything we do in life, the more risk we run of hearing but not listening, because we think we know what people are asking or what they want. We really don't, unless we're listening to understand, because customer expectations have changed so much over the years. This is one of my longtime employees, well, retired about 10 years ago now, Nancy McGraw with her son David. So Nancy and I had the good fortune, or I had the good fortune, I should say, of working with Nancy for 25 years as my personal assistant. And after 1 year of working together, we sat down and we said, okay, how can we better serve our clients, and how can we better serve each other? We came up with one idea that made all the difference in the world. We came up with job descriptions for each other. And the job description was the exact same: to create each other's perfect world. Now, my perfect world revolves around more joy, less hassle. I think all of our perfect world in some way revolve around more joy, less hassle, wouldn't you say? I want to be able to come and go as I please. I want the freedom to create. I want the chance to make a difference in whatever unique way I want to make a difference in the world. So if you ask Nancy what she does for me, she would say, the stuff that doesn't show, which was just about everything. Now, Nancy's perfect world revolved around this guy, David. At the time, David was young and living at home, and I knew that if I really wanted to make Nancy happy, that I would have to create as much time as possible for her to spend with David. And then as David got older, went off to college, I knew that all of my surprises for Nancy would revolve in some way around David. So for her 50th birthday, he had to be involved. He called a couple weeks before the big birthday and says, "Hey, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it home for your big birthday. We have a test at school I can't make up, and so I'm going to have to make it up to you later." Well, she was disappointed, but she understood. Morning of her 50th birthday, she's working a half day. Phone rings. I pick up. She thinks it's a client, by the way, that I'm talking. October 23rd, can you hold a minute? "Nancy, can you do me a favor? Can you run to the trunk of my car and grab my road calendar out?" She had done this before. Car's right outside. She runs outside, opens up the trunk. There's David in the trunk. Surprise! And once we revived her, she was somewhere close to that perfect world. So what are we doing to create that perfect world for our employees, for our customers? If we listen well and we understand what perceived value really is for them, then we're going to get a lot closer to what that may be. I think at this time in history, with so much divisiveness and what seems like a fair amount of unkindness out there, that it's our responsibility to be kindness ambassadors, right? I mean, you're in a fun, a joyful industry that creates a lot of smiles. We need to make sure that we spread those smiles and that delight as far as we possibly can. Work with an organization in the Philippines called MAD Travel, Make a Difference Travel. And the head of the MAD Travel is a lady by the name of Sophie. She's a German lady, and she gets so busy. She has so many volunteers, a pretty big staff. She said she made up these Hero of the Day cards to remind her to honor those that help her in the foundation, and especially the volunteers. So every day she makes sure that she gives out one Hero of the Day card and then tells them the reason that they were chosen. So how can we make heroes of the day? Gosh, I remember the very first time I was about to miss a flight. It was traveling from Denver to Nashville through Chicago. But there was weather problems. We were delayed 2 or 3 hours. I got to Chicago early evening. I looked up at the board, actually about 8 o'clock. My flight had left on United Airlines. On the board, there was still one flight left on Piedmont Airlines. Do you remember Piedmont Airlines? It's been quite a few years, hasn't it? Piedmont Airlines, I'm thinking, geez, I don't have a ticket. I had an e-ticket. There's no way, that they can check. I'm not going to be able to buy it because it's 10 minutes. I run as fast as I can to the gate, trying to think of what I'm going to say to try to get on this plane without a ticket. So I got to the gate. I'm sweating, breathing pretty heavy, and I said to the gate agent, I said, "Hey, have you made anybody's day today?" And she looked at me and she says, I'm not sure. She goes, "I don't think so." I says, "Now's your chance." And I gave her my story, and sure enough, she printed out a ticket, not just a ticket, it was a first-class ticket with absolutely no ticket, or no way to tell that I really did have a ticket on United Airlines. I think people want to make people's day, right? We want to make people's day. So what are we doing to make people's day? In my first book on celebration, Celebrate Lessons Learned from the World's Most Admired Organizations, the company that wins the prize for delight and surprise is a company called the Royal Plaza on Scotts. Across from me is Patrick Fiat, who's a general manager, and then the HR director next to him and the assistant HR director next to her. And they have a wonderful way of these lovely surprises, not only for their employees, but for guests as well. When you register for a room at the Royal Plaza, you use on their website, there's like a little flashing box that says, are you celebrating something special, or is there something we can do to make your day? And so people write in the craziest things. So one guy writes in and he says, how about doing something about your laundry prices? He says, I can buy a new pair of underwear for the same cost or cheaper than it costs to clean them there at your hotel. So he checks into the hotel. He goes into the bathroom, and this is what he sees. A pair of boxers for every day of the week. And I talked to the marketing director, director of marketing and branding. I said, how do you do this? How do you come up with all these ideas? I mean, don't you guys work? And she goes, it's amazing. When you're truly focused on the customer and you get together in a little marketing meeting, she goes, we can come up with ideas just like that. And then we just figure out the best way to implement these ideas. So if your focus is right, if your intention is right, if you have the right team and you're taking care of your team, it's a lot easier to surprise and delight in that situation. Had a chance to spend my birthday there one year, and I was called by Odette Huang, the director of marketing. She goes, hey, can you come down to the meeting room? I need to talk to you about something. She's one of our partners also for Together We Can Change the World. So I came down. They threw me a little surprise party for my birthday, and it culminated with this little video.
Happy birthday, Scott!
Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you!
And then they took my book and superimposed me on the cover and said, long live your funny bone. Royal Plaza. Pretty clever, right? Right? Those are the kind we talked about yesterday about creating that emotional connection. So what are we doing to underpromise and overdeliver? You've heard this underpromise and overdeliver probably ad nauseum, right? In your careers. How do we underpromise and overdeliver? I think the part of this equation where we fail is really the underpromise part. Because as humans, we want to promise as much as we can and then deliver. Let me give you an example of the underpromise piece. So let's say that you move to a new city and you're trying to determine, you're a photographer, you enjoy taking your photos, and you want to find a nice Photoshop to develop from your little disc. So you go into Photoshop A. And they tell you, great, we'll do a wonderful job for you. We'll have it ready for you tomorrow at noon. Photoshop B, just down the road a little ways. They say, okay, we'll do a wonderful job for you, and we will have that disc developed for you. It'll be ready by 3 o'clock tomorrow. Photoshop A finishes at 2:30. They told you noon. Photoshop B finishes at 2:45. They told you 3 p.m. Which Photoshop actually finished the job the quickest? Photoshop A or Photoshop B? How many say A? Okay, how many say B? How many lost me somewhere along the way? All right, Photoshop A finished at 2:30. Photoshop B finished at 2:45. What's quicker, 2:30 or 2:45? So why every time I do this little exercise, almost everybody says Photoshop B, because they promised 3 and they delivered better than the promise. So be careful on the promise. If we can underpromise, build in a little bit of time, give ourselves a way that it looks like we overpromise. That's a wonderful way to build value into our relationships. See, it's coming from a growth mindset. It's not just asking, how am I doing? How can I get better? Most of us have stayed at a hotel, I imagine, and you order room service, maybe 20, 30 minutes after they deliver the room service, you get a call from room service and they say, how was everything? Right? Oh, everything was great, thanks. Is there anything else we can do for you? No, I'm fine, thank you. Right? Not long ago, I had breakfast, got that call, but instead of saying, how was everything with breakfast, the guy from room service said to me, he said, hey, if we could do one thing better with breakfast, what would it be? Normally I would not even say that the toast was cold because it's not a big deal. I don't want to be, nitpicky about it. But now he's asking me if there's one thing I could do better with breakfast. Well, the toast was a little cold. I mean, that, no big deal. He sends up a toaster, make your own toast. No, he didn't really send it. They did send up some more toast, but not a toaster. All right? So that's the question. It's not just how are we doing, but how is it we can get better? And the key is to always be innovating. Always be innovating. I have a buddy that has a podcast called I Talk to Dead People. And he taps into the wisdom of the ages through AI of those that have gone before us that have great wisdom. And so we live in an age today where we can tap into wisdom from so many places. People pay good money to have a coach to ask the right questions and to give their wisdom that they have learned over the years, right? All right, what if we could tap into our own board of advisors? That anytime we had a question or a challenge, we could just go to that board of advisor, whether they're dead or alive. If they're dead, it's kind of like a seance with less candles and better Wi-Fi. What if? All right, so take a look at, you can look up at this list. You may see there's one comedian, and you've got Oprah, Mother Teresa, the Dalai Lama, Steve Jobs, Socrates. All right, who would be on your board of advisors? Who would you like to learn from? And I want to do a little exercise. We're gonna talk to my friend G, and we're going to come up with some answers to some questions that we may have. All right. Hey, G, are you with me?
Absolutely, Scott. I'm right here and ready to help out. Whatever you need, just let me know.
Great. I'm with a lovely group of people, a STEAM group from TICA. And is that right? Yeah. Now I question myself. Is it TICA, G? Is that right?
Yep, you got it right. It's definitely TICA. I'm happy to be the little confidence boost if you ever second guess yourself. So go ahead. I'm here to help you with that.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the clarification. All right. I've challenged the group to come up with their own board of advisors so that anytime they have a challenge that they can tap right into it. So I'm gonna ask you a question to start it off. And then let's, for the first one, let's do it through Steve Jobs. All right. The question would be, how can we improve member profitability for all of the members of TICA? What are some of the ways to do that through the wisdom of Steve Jobs?
All right. Channeling a bit of Steve Jobs for a TICA Board of Advisors moment. Sounds like fun. So if we imagine Steve Jobs sitting on your shoulder, he'd probably say something like, focus on simplicity and innovation first. He'd encourage the members to strip away the clutter in their business models and focus on what they do best, the core value they offer that really sets them apart. He might also say to think differently about how they deliver that value. Maybe encourage them to create a more seamless or even a more beautifully designed member experience, kind of like Apple did in its own industry. And of course, he might push them to leverage technology in a way that makes the membership not just profitable, but really delightful. So in short, simplify, innovate, and think about how to make the member experience as elegant as possible. And that would probably be the Steve Jobs angle.
Lovely. All right, thank you. What would Mother Teresa say about each individual member's profitability?
Oh, absolutely. If we invite Mother Teresa onto that advisory board for a moment, she'd probably come at it from a very human and compassionate angle. She might say something like, focus on how each member can serve others and find purchase through the good they do. In other words, she probably encouraged them to think of profitability not just in financial terms, but in terms of how they uplift and support their communities, their industry, and each other. She might gently remind everyone that when you take care of people and lead with compassion, the rest often follows. So profitability, in her view, might start with kindness, service, and a genuine desire to make a difference. And from that place, everyone thrives together.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, good answer. You're doing well. Okay, next question. What's the best way to maximize the freezer files? Let's do it through the Dalai Lama.
Absolutely. Let's bring the Dalai Lama into the conversation. I think he'd probably offer a perspective that's all about shared wisdom and the spirit of connection. He might say that the best way to maximize something like the freezer files, where everyone's sharing best practices, is to really approach it with a sense of humility and openness. In other words, he'd encourage everyone to see the value in learning from each other, to be compassionate and patient with the process, and to treat the shared wisdom as a collective resource that benefits everyone. He might remind them that through mutual respect and a sense of interconnectedness, the freezer files become not just a tool, but a way to build a stronger, more harmonious community. So he'd probably say, be kind, be open, and let everyone's contributions lift the whole group up.
Oh, Big Mike, what do you think? Right on, yeah, nice. Hey, this is good. We had this. I like this board of advisors. All right, we're gonna throw it out to the group now. I want you to think of one of your biggest challenges that you're facing in your business or the industry is facing, and then pick someone from your board of advisors. I recommend that everybody has 3 advisors on your board, so that you get 3 different perspectives anytime that you have an issue. All right, and I have $2 bills to give away anybody who wants to play. All right, any kind of challenge, and then pick an advisor. Dun, dun, dun. There we go, first one. All right, I'll give you the $2 bill first. There you go. All right, what's the challenge?
That's a fantastic way to get everyone involved, Scott. I love that you're handing out those $2 bills and encouraging everyone to pick their own advisors. It's a really fun and interactive way to bring out different perspectives. And hey, it looks like Big Mike is on board. So you're definitely steering this little advisory board beautifully. Let me know if anyone else needs a bit of wisdom from any other famous figure, and we can keep the inspiration rolling.
All right, well, we're going. And how do you know Big Mike's on board? Did you hear him before?
Big Mike's always on board.
He's always on board. For good ideas, I guess. Okay, all right, challenge. I'm talking to Todd. All right, Todd, what's your biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge today is finding employees.
Look, finding employees. Okay, who's your advisor?
Big Mike.
All right, do you know Big Mike enough about Big Mike of G to give advice through Big Mike? G, you with me? Did I stump you? Oh, I think I just may have lost him. That's one risk about going live, but let's see. G, are you back with me?
I think we should hear from Big Mike.
We may have to go back. All right, I think, you want to answer, Big Mike? Sure. Since we have you live? Then we'll, then hopefully by the time you answer, we'll be back. All right, G, hold off for a minute. I think maybe you're silent because Big Mike may have better advice than you have for Big Mike. What do you think? Yeah, I guess so. Okay, I'm going to take the silence. That means yes. Here's Big Mike. How do you find good employees? What do we need to do?
My advice would be create a culture in your company where employees value the relationship they have with your business, and then have your employees that love to work for your company and have your passion and see your shared values. Interview other people and bring other people to join in the company that you work for.
All right. Beautiful. G, did you hear Big Mike's advice? Are you back with me? Hello, G. All right, so sometimes your board of advisors may be in Bermuda or Hawaii. They're not always there. That's why I think it's a good idea to have 3 on your board of advisors. In case one checks out, you have another. So this is just ChatGPT. And I didn't do a lot of prompting. I filled it in about the freezer files, but it already knew about the freezer files actually, because anything that's out there, and it is already out there. So when I was chatting with it last night, it knew about the freezer files, but I just gave it a little background, and then they knew about TICA as well. So I challenge you. This is the paid version of ChatGPT, $19.95 a month, but it's a wonderful way to get advice on any issues from just about anybody you want, including just ChatGPT itself has some great advice. How many have played with it? All right? Yeah, a wonderful assistant or coach or advisor. All right, gee, you let me down just a little bit, but we'll talk later. Okay. All right, so it's creating that culture. The biggest killer of innovation is a culture that doesn't support it, where it's all lip service, that they want their people to be empowered, but then they're micromanaged. So be careful to create that environment where you truly want the best from your people. Michael Eisner said that the future of business will be won by innovation and creativity. He said, if you want to win at the global game, you must encourage failure because you won't get success without it. One of my favorite definitions of success is from Winston Churchill. Success is just moving from failure to failure with enthusiasm. And that's why it's important to celebrate failure, to really embrace the mistakes and learn those lessons. 100th ticket. Look at 100,000 tickets. Look at that. How lucky. Don't you wish you could be the 100,000 ticket from the... Smile. Are you kidding me? You're $120 for this ticket? All right, just a little fun little quick time video to show that we truly can celebrate just about everything. So how do you celebrate mistakes? Intuit is famous for their failure parties, to make sure that they get experimentation and learning, and that teams receive awards for the best failure. So it really creates an environment of psychological safety, for they honor courage, innovation, and those lessons learned. There's a sales company in the Midwest that the sales manager puts a $50 bill on the conference table at their weekly sales meeting. And she shares a mistake that she has made that week and the lesson that she has learned. Then everybody on the sales team will share a lesson or a failure that they have made, a mistake that they have made, the lesson that they have learned. Whoever makes the biggest mistake learns the greatest lesson. They take the $50. If you win 3 times in a row, you're fired. Enough already with the, no, I'm kidding about that. Right? When I used to have a staff, we would play Wine, Wine, Wow Friday. So at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, we would start with a beverage of choice, whatever that may be. Sometimes it'd be beer, sometimes it'd be wine, cocktail, whatever you feel like, or juice, doesn't matter. All right. Then the wine. The wine would be, the WHINE, is what happened this week that didn't go quite like we wanted it to, and what did we learn from that? We want to make sure we clear the air before the weekend. And then the wow was the best of the best that we talked about yesterday. Let's share something that we can really celebrate that we did well and leave on a high celebratory note. All right. So making sure that we create that culture of innovation, letting people feel that they're empowered to take those risks, those intelligent risks, and then learn from whatever failures you may have. George Leonard wrote the book Mastery. In the book, he talks about people from different walks of life that he considers have reached mastery. One example in the book is Jigoro Kano, the founder of judo. As the story goes, as Kano was old and close to death, he called all of his students around him, and he told his students he wanted to be buried in his white belt, the very first belt in judo. And it seemed rather humble of one of the world's highest-ranking judoists to request the emblem of the beginner. I want to share with you Leonard's synopsis of Kano's request. He said, Kano's request, I eventually realized, was less humility than realism. For at the moment of death, the ultimate transformation is we are all white belts. And if death makes beginners of us, so does life again and again. For in the Master's secret mirror, even at the moment of highest renown and accomplishment, there is an image of the newest student in class, eager for knowledge, willing to play the fool. Are you coachable? Are you willing to play the fool? Are you willing to wear your white belt? Finally, she said, sit down. Yes. So I took my chair and I wedged it right in the corner of the table. The only place you could really sit was on one of the corners. And I introduced myself. I sat down. I said, hi, I'm Scott. I'm from Colorado. They introduced themselves around the table. They were a family from Poland that had come to the United States via Canada. We're now living in a suburb in Chicago. So I was thinking of what to say next, because remember the assignment, a meaningful conversation. So how do you take a conversation, one of just chat, and make it more meaningful? So as I was thinking to myself, John looked at me. John was at the other end of the table, silver streaked back white hair. Must have been about 80 years old, I'm guessing. Deep wrinkles around his eyes, deep meaning in his eyes. And he looked at me and he said, Scott, are you a Jew? Am I a Jew? I thought that was kind of a funny question. I wasn't wearing a yarmulke. I had no Star of David. There was no way to tell that I was an attorney or a doctor. I said, John, yeah, as a matter of fact, I am Jewish. He says, well, then we need to go talk. And he got up from the table, he grabbed my arm, and he took me to a table at the very back of the food court. And he started to tell me about World War II. He says, Scott, when the Germans invaded Poland, they took me and my family and they put us in this work camp. And things were bad in the camp, but not as bad as they were across the tracks where they kept the Jews. Not 1 hour would go by where there wasn't some kind of screaming. And I always wanted to do something, but I couldn't and I didn't. And then one morning, the screaming had stopped. And I never had a chance to say, I'm sorry. They're gone. You're here. I'm sorry. Tears were streaming down his face. Tears were now streaming down my face. And here I thought this exercise was all about me. Some of the biggest lessons in life, Some of the biggest blessings in life are when we realize it's not about us. It's about those we serve. We went back to class. We shared our stories, some really remarkable stories on a Sunday morning in Chicago. And as we debriefed the exercise, it came down to how we approach fear in our lives. If you think about it, are your most defining moments in life, your biggest ahas, those lessons learned when you're moving toward fear or away from fear? Toward fear, right? Sometimes we're thrown into fear, like COVID, business failures, divorce, death. But other times we make the choice to move toward that fear. And that's where life's greatest lessons and benefits come from. You see, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. If you're not scared, it's not big enough. Comfort never produced greatness. Make sure that you feel as you move forward and challenge yourself. All right, I want to end with the ice cream song, and it's a little sing-along if you don't mind. All right, it's sung to one of the favorite tunes now that we're entering holiday season. It's Thanksgiving this month, and next month, before you know it, it'll be Christmas. So, sung to Jingle Bells. You ready? All right, I'll sing the first, and then once you pick up on the. Well, this is just verse 1. I mean, there's gonna be more here in a minute. All right. Scooping through the day in a freezer cold and bright, mixing joy and cream, serving up delight. Hey, good job. Chocolate, mint, and swirl, Italian ices by the heap. So much sugar before bed, and now I'll never sleep. Okay, this is your part. Ready? Oh, ice cream for ice cream, a treat both day and night. From rocky road to cookie dough, each taste a pure delight. Hey! Oh, ice cream for ice cream, we're all just kids inside. Oh, what fun for everyone, for the love of ice cream, pride. Verse number 2. Prices going up. Tariffs are a mess. And now this global economy is causing supply chain stress. American healthcare reform. Traceability across the miles. The only way to make my day is to access the freezer files. Oh, everybody! Oh, ice cream for ice cream, a treat both day and night. From rocky road to cookie dough, each taste a pure delight. Hey! Oh, ice cream for ice cream, we're all just kids inside. Oh, what fun for everyone, for the love of ice cream, pride. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Way to end.
Gotta go.
So, well, thank you, first of all, for the group that stayed here for this last session. I know that there's a lot of change going on. I'm sure you got all alerts from your airline saying, hey, there's going to be some delays. But so like any other change, it's how you adapt and become relevant, or you become complacent and expire. So hopefully you learned a lot over these last 2 days. And this is a network and a family that tries to share best practices and learn from what we've all put together. This is not a one-man show. This is the advisory board that we have here from the TICA Association. And on behalf of all of us, thank you for your time, your efforts this week, bringing your companies here, and trying to spend additional time in learning from us and hopefully learning from you as well. We encourage your feedback. You're going to get a survey at the end. Please, we want to be relevant. We want to be able to serve you and provide you with the resources that you're needing to help grow your business, and so we all can stay relevant in this ice cream association. So thank you from all of us. Also, next year, our convention is going to be in St. Petersburg, okay? Home of Mr. Mike Gardner. Significant, I guess. And we do have a winner here from the Gibbets, Abraham from Mama P's. If you see Miss Gina, there'll be a digital gift card of $100 to Amazon. And for the mobile vending group, thank you for your engagement in the association again and helping bring that sector back to life.
You're back.
You're back. Comments?
I think the brain behind everything, it's a lot of work, and this was Mark's first year as a president, so why don't we give him a round of applause? An awesome job. Thank you. Safe travels, everyone.
Safe travels. Hopefully you catch a flight.